Good afternoon, Tom Ginn and Mark Gassert. Elevate your profits. We're going to be right back. Hey, Mark, I've thrown a curveball at you today. That's
I don't mind. I love curveballs. I've been dealing nothing but curveballs here of late, which I won't get into, but some people know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Mark does a little bit of baseball, but tonight, Elevate Your Profits. We're going to be talking about an event that I went to weekend before last. The Napoleon Hill Foundation was put on and sponsored by Ramy El-Batrawi, and it was an amazing event. And I invited some of the people that were there, some of the players, some of the speakers, that type of thing, and just want to have some dialogue in and around how important it is to elevate yourselves, get out of our comfort zone, get into groups where people can help you grow and expand your thinking. So,
right.
Yeah. So we got a number of guests coming in here in a moment, but Mark, anything you want to say about Elevate Your Profits before we get going? Before I bring him in?
Elevate Your Profits isn't just about dollars and cents, and this is another prime example how you elevate your own profits internally. And what you're going to talk about tonight is what are you doing day in and day out of elevating yourself. And I know there are a lot of people out there chasing a dollar bill. I totally respect that, obviously. But there's more to life than just, do, re, mi. And I think tonight you're going to touch on some of these things that, take you from one step to the next. And from that, you learn from others. And I think that so many times out there, we have these alleged supposed gurus, excuse me as I get on a rant, but we learn from others, and regardless of their walks of life, rich, poor, weak, strong, every now and then your teacher your student rather becomes your teacher. And I think that's what we're going to find out here, what you encountered, in your group. And I'm looking forward to hearing some of the content that's going to be kicked around tonight. So,
well, I'm ready to bring in our guests, the people that were at the event. What we're going to do, Mark, is we'll just start and we'll just go around. I'll call their name out, and I would just encourage everybody just to introduce yourself, where you're from, what your business is. And then we'll just go around everybody. And then I'm going to just share what got me there, what I came away with. And then we'll just go back around and, just chime in what you want to come in, what you want to comment about. So I'm going to bring everybody in, and I just want to have everybody put their thumbs up if they can hear me, see me. And hi, Kathleen. Good seeing you. Thanks for being here. So,
hi again.
Well, we got some background music or phone ring in there. So,
oh yeah, always good to throw curves at everybody, man. So I'm messing around here, everybody.
What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to just start with Rex first. Rex was the one that, if it wasn't for Rex and my relationship with Rex and turning me on to the Think and Grow Rich tour, I would never have made that meeting. So Rex, I just have you introduce yourself, share a little bit with everybody. Most people know you because you were at the event, but this will be an introduction for Mark and anybody else that's watching.
Well, if I give a little bit of a backstory, and I'm wearing the shirt, can you really think and grow rich? Was a summit that we put on. It was 40 hours, 5 days, 8 hours a day with the top speakers, and it was put on by Adora Evans and Production, and by Moe Rock of the Los Angeles Tribune. So we did that, and it was absolutely free. People can still, if they're watching now, they can still go and watch the tour. It's richtour22.com. It's RICHTOUR22.com, absolutely free. There is, in many cases, a VIP upgrade, and there was with this. And so we had made offers of what, somebody could do a workshop with me or Dr. John DeMartini or whomever the other speakers were. And at some point after the original event, Ramy and Adora, Moe, and whoever else decided, let's do a fundraiser for the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And so after the fact, this thing was just kind of, boom, we're going to go to Ramy's house. He's going to have a tour of his jet. People are going to hang out. It's going to be 2 days, and it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to be great. And I didn't want to go. I was like, I'm not going. It's okay. I don't care. You signed up. You're like one of the first people to sign up, which I thought was awesome. But I'm like, I don't need to go. Well, I was told, you're part of this. You co-produced the tour with us, and we really want you there. You're going to be a speaker, blah, blah. And so I thought, all right, I'll go. And I say that because a lot of people think no up front, and they don't do it. Like if you and I hadn't connected, you wouldn't be there. Had I not gone, I wouldn't have met the people who are on this platform. It was absolutely worth going, even as a speaker, to be at this event and to say yes and to do this. So we did. We showed up at Ramy's house. I did on Friday along with Ava. If it weren't for Ava, none of us would have eaten. None of us would have had a place to sleep or drink or do anything. But it was more than just that. It wasn't just the logistics. It was the atmosphere, the attitude, the edification, the upbeat vibes. So you say elevate your profits below, and what I would argue is you elevate your mindset to elevate your profits, and that's what this was an opportunity for. I know I'm taking a long time, but let me just say this: it was an opportunity for people who may or may not have ever been able to dream build. I talked about it this morning in my clubhouse room. If you're wanting to manifest a Rolex watch, it's one thing to see pictures of them. It's one thing to look at them on other people or in movies. It's another thing to go to a jewelry store, put a Rolex watch on, and feel the weight of the watch. Know what it looks like. Go, do I like that one? Do I like this one or this? And this was that real live experience where people could go into a mansion. They could hang out with millionaires and billionaires who were there, people who were making things happen in so many different ways, get on a jet, see the different kinds of cars. Even some people got in the cars, but everybody got to go, to walk through the jet and be on the jet. So it was that opportunity for those people who said yes, like yourselves, everybody here, to do that dream building and to be a cooperative to that dream building. We are all, the people here and those who aren't, are light bearers. We're the ripples that will go through the world as a result of the Can You Really Think and Grow Rich tour and the Can You Really Think and Rich mastermind at Ramy's house. So thanks to each and every one of you here. It truly made a difference for me and for everyone. And with that, I'm done.
Well, thank you, Rex. And I'm going to move right to Ava. We'll go with the ladies alphabetically. How about that?
Thank you. Tom, thank you so much for this invitation. And Rex, thank you so much. My name is Ava, and I am the coordinator and the logistics for the Can You Really Think and Grow Rich Mastermind that we just had last weekend in Hollywood in the house of Ramy El-Batrawi. And my biggest takeaway in that is that the people that we meet online are real. It's amazing because since COVID, we haven't. It's my first travel to an actual live event, and there were thoughts before or kind of like teachings that say, people across online aren't real. Like they're not real friends. Like you don't have real friends if your friends are online. But like Adora was my first time meeting her in person. Rex was my first time meeting him in person, and it's like family, like the amazing. So I sourced that right after the Think and Grow Rich was my birthday the same week. I had 200 messages. Many of them came from the Think and Grow Rich family that was there on the mastermind. And you know what I did for a difference is I messaged them individually and I replied to them individually, realizing that each person in our social media really represents a person, like it is a person. And it's amazing for them to come real in this event and how everyone is just so supportive. And so for me, relationship was my biggest takeaway. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic back to you, Tom.
All right, and we're going to move right over to Diane. Diane, introduce yourself, and and then we'll just go from there. We're just going to rock and roll.
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for the invitation. I've got to say this. I've been affiliated with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I got certified back in 2016, and I had the opportunity. I have a book through the foundation for children that all the funds go back to the foundation. And I love what Napoleon Hill has done. I live it. I breathe it. I do it. I help my team. I'm in the insurance business. I have agents across the United States, and they know all about Napoleon Hill and what it can do for them. And I really can say this, that anybody that takes the time not to just read it and study it, well, it'll make a huge difference. And when I got that invitation, Tom, I did not hesitate. I didn't even know who Ramy was, but all I knew was I was going to be there. And I got to tell you, it was the best event. It was totally top notch. I met great people. And let me say this, I didn't want to go to the event without knowing about Ramy that way. I didn't know who he was. So I made sure I got the book, right? And I didn't get the book, didn't come on time. So what did I do? I listened to the audio. And oh my goodness, I mean, it was amazing because he lived it and telling those stories. So I want to thank all of you because I got to meet such wonderful people like each and every one of you, and it stretched me. And the big thing I got from that whole event, because you asked that, was the word in his book and talking about it was the word pivot. I know that sounds interesting, but everybody gets something from it, right? But that's what I got. So I thank you for the invite of being on here. Sorry for going on a little.
No, we're going to, that's what it's going to be about. We'll be dialogue. I just want everybody to introduce themselves, and I'll just move over to Cynthia. Be careful you're driving, okay?
Hi, I pulled over just to chat.
Okay, wonderful.
Everybody.
Thank you. I'm at ease now.
We are family. Woo-hoo. It's so nice to see you all. I miss you. It really did seem like family. Ava hit it on the head there. Boop, the nail on the head. I think it was an amazing event. Absolutely amazing. One of the best masterminds I've ever gone to. And I think the points, find a need, right? Pivoting. I mean, these are the things. Always sell a sexy deal. Nothing is too big. I know for myself, I think too small. I'm ready to just woohoo and go. And I'm so glad that you're doing this. Is this going to be a thing?
Well, that's what masterminds, just let the creativity flow. So it may be a thing. So, and how did you find out about it, Cynthia? How did you find out about the event?
Mr. Ken Walls. So he had Ramy on the show like a few months ago. So of course, when he has anyone on the show, when I participate, just like Dan, the first thing we do is buy the book, read the book. So Dan, I was actually in California for another event, and Dan nicely texted me and said, "Oh, Ken Walls is going to go to Ramy's and there's an event and you got to be there." And I was like, yes. And I stopped what I was doing and signed up. So thank you, Dan, and thank you to Ken Walls.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you in person as well, versus all the groups we've been in. I'm going to move over to Kathleen Adams. I met Kathleen. We sat next to each other and we had a beautiful conversation. And how did you find out about it? And share a little bit about who you are, and then we're gonna get over to Dan, and then I'll open up and share my takeaways, and then we'll just open up for dialogue. I'll let Mark do that piece. Call on people, raise your hand. I'll have him moderate, ask questions as well. So, Kathleen, go ahead and share.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this. I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm going to have to get off early for another appointment, but I just couldn't resist coming on because I wanted to hear what all of you had to say. I am a wealth planner. I live in California, and I got the opportunity to join that meeting from Don Green from the Napoleon Hill Institute because I also had gotten certified. I took his training program. I didn't go all the way through and become an official trainer, but I took all the learning objectives, and it's just been a huge part of my life. So this seemed like a no-brainer to go and support it. I had no idea it was going to be as good as it was. I just thought it was magnificent. And the most amazing thing to me was the relationships and the connections from one day. I didn't even go back the second day, but some of this has felt almost life-changing to me already. Tom introduced me to the Grow Live Academy, which I've already joined and participated in, and the people there are fantastic. I was just introduced to so many things. So I would say what I took away was the connections, relationships were excellent. And it was the quality and the heart of the people there as much as everything else with them. But it was also when he talked about having no fear. I think Ramy and quite a few other people talked about that, but I loved that because they said one of the ways to eliminate fear is to take action and also replace it with faith. You just can't hide it. Think your way out of it. You're never going to think your way out of fear, is what he said. And I thought that was really powerful. And then the last thing was the burning desire. A lot of people asked him about that because of our training with Think and Grow Rich. And I think a lot of them described burning desire really, really well. I mean, something that you were just literally obsessed and you absolutely love to do, and you're never going to take no for an answer. And when you get there, you have it, then you go for it. So thank you to all of you for being a part of getting it going. It was spectacular. And thank you, Tom, for all these introductions initially, because this is just starting a whole new world for me.
And appreciate you being here. And I know you got a hard stop to get to, but what we'll do is bring Dan on, and then I will share why I got there, how I got there, and then we're just going to open up for dialogue. You know, share your nuggets, share the one thing that you came away from that meeting that you're going to implement in your life or your business or whatever it is. So, Dan, it's all yours, buddy. Are you muted? Dan, unmute. Dan,
I want to give him feedback. Okay, I'm unmuted now. Okay.
All right.
So I'm Dan Altmeyer, just like Tom said. And I run an insurance agency. We do dementia and extended care for businesses and their employees. And we're real excited about being certified as a dementia-focused practice. So anyway, what did I take away from there? Well, I took away a billion things. So that makes me a billionaire. First of all, I mean, what I've spent several evenings on Ken Wall's Grow Live with Ramy coming on, and he's just such a natural person and open, and it certainly showed when he was there and opened his house to all of us, and was just like a proud little kid showing off his race car and his band on the tennis court and everything, and also his friends. I mean, the fact that we had great people there like Rex speaking, and the great Jeffrey Wolf coming there, and John Gray, and of course John Green. That was great. But one thing I really pulled away from Ramy that really, really struck me was he's talking about when he's in negotiations. Rex is a big NLP guy, right, Rex? Okay. And there's the third position where you're observing the thing that's going on in front of you. You're not the participant, you're the observer of yourself participating. he goes one more level and observes himself, observing himself, so he can remain strategic. And you know, I just thought that was so amazing. I try and practice the third position as much as I possibly can, but the fourth position is like you know, like being in some kind of a movie or something. So anyway, that was the big thing. I mean, there were like I said, a billion takeaways, and the people there, what amazing people. I even got to ride in a car with Diane. And so that was cool, and it was mind expanding, that was for sure.
Great. And we lost Jasmine. I was going to, well, she comes back on, but Jeffrey, how are you doing? Thanks for being here.
I am doing great. Thank you so much, Tom. And never forget, we'll always have Taco Bell.
That's it. That's a joke in the car, so we know what that is.
Yes, it was. Thank you again for choosing Wolf Transportation. We realize you have many of options available to you, and we're glad to safely and funnily get you to your destination.
How'd you find out about this event, Jeff?
Actually, through you. Yeah, I greatly appreciate that. You joined in our conversation with Bob Donnell this morning, and I found out about this. I was like, going, "Are you kidding me?" You know, one of the things that we were talking about in that conversation was proximity, and looking at who all's here. This is proximity, right? Who do we put ourselves around? Who would we get the chance to associate with? Yeah. And man, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But to Ramy's event, how'd you find out? Is that through the
Ramy's
Grow
event.
Live Academy?
Yes, through Grow Live Academy, through Ken Walls, and actually also through Moe Rock of the Los Angeles Tribune.
Wonderful. And what we're going to be doing, Jeff, is we're just going to everybody's doing a quick introduction, then everybody's going to have an opportunity to share one or two nuggets of what they came over with. And I know we have a couple people on a hard stop, so we want to make sure we get them first. But Jasmine, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, share with everybody where you're from and how did you find out about the event?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I've been having a little internet issue, but I'm back now. My name is Jasmine Wardlaw. I'm in the Los Angeles area. I am an inventor of a countertop device called a soap butler. It allows you to take the fragments of your soap, your small slivers of soap, once they become from huge bar to the little small spaces that usually end up going down the drain. Well, you can now take those and add essential oils and make them a new full-size bar with my countertop device. And my basis for making that was for sustainability and using less raw materials. The way I first got introduced to this phenomenal group of people was I worked with the Ultimate Speaker competition produced by Christoph J. Wyman, and Moe Rock happened to be one of our sponsors for an event that we had in Las Vegas. And we started talking about sustainability, and he just resonated with what I was doing with my company. He invited me to meet Adora, Crystal Evans, and they invited me in turn to be a part of the Can You Really Think and Grow Rich tour, which was epic. I just can't say enough just wonderful, phenomenal thing for what that event has done for me, both in personal growth as well as professional, are priceless and enduring. And from that event, I was invited to Ramy's Billionaire Mastermind, which I was able to meet even more phenomenal people like Don Green, which is a true spirit humanitarian, and he just continues to keep doing more and more people. With Satish, who is also part of the Think and Grow Rich Foundation, going to be launching a new program soon too, where we have people educating around the globe about the Grow Rich principles. So I can just go on and name people namelessly, like Robert Beam, who has a alkaline water called V3, who's also doing great humanitarian things around the globe. And it's just been really phenomenal. Not to mention everyone here. It's just I've been quite blessed to be a part of it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, love it, love it. Well, I'm going to, just share, what got me there. I've been in the personal development business on a formal basis through the Procter Gallagher Institute. I was introduced to Think and Grow Rich in 1983, and it was a required reading, and we went through those principles every Thursday in management. But I didn't realize how that book really impacted my life, so when through Rex and through this Grow Live Academy that many of you are already associated with, allowed me to meet people like Rex Sikes. Did his interview, and then he invited me to take, informed me of the event, the Think and Grow Rich tour. And I was on the day that Ramy and the group announced the mastermind. And one thing I've learned in life, when you're clear on a vision, a purpose, and a why, when something comes across you, you know how to make the decision. That's something I've learned a long time ago. When you're clear on your purpose and why, when it was put up there, I didn't hesitate. I think I was the second person of the entire audience to enroll. I didn't know any of the details. All we knew was a vague date. All those things. I hounded Rex a little bit. What do we know? What's the date? What's the times? What's the agenda? But I just made that decision. I think that's something that Napoleon Hill and my mentor, Bob Proctor's learned to make decisions, but you got to be clear on that. And what I came away with was, number one, my intention was just to grow, to meet Don Green and meet Ramy and some of the other people there in person, because I believe that's where everything starts gelling and coming together, when you have that opportunity to see somebody, talk to them in the moment, is, I think, more of a benefit than anything else. And I went there to grow, to see how other people are thinking, go with an open mind. And it just blew my mind when I got there. So I was raised this way. I was the very first person to arrive. Rex was already there, and I think Ava was already, but as a guest, when my lift dropped me off, Ramy was taking out the big garbage. Now, who would think a billionaire would be taking out his own garbage, taking it out to the curb? And that was the first experience. I just went up, said, "I'm Tom Ginn, Ramy, I'm here for your event." And we walked up the drive up to his house, and I was just blown away from that moment on. Real people, great hearts, mission-driven people. The teachings that each person provided was phenomenal. Many times I've heard these principles before, but brought a different perspective and a different clarity that took me to a different level. Got me out of my smaller thinking into a bigger thinking, and there's a long ways to go. I know that we have infinite potential, and that was demonstrated through Ramy and some of the other people that were there. But you got to make a decision. It was one of those things, my wife and I, I'm accountable to my wife, and we have certain things that I can make decisions on. She was out of town doing a seminar, launching her book in Seattle. This was up, and I said, "I'm going." And I called her up, and I says, "I made a decision to go to California." But it was a decision. You know when to make a decision. And I just encourage anybody out there that study these materials, get connected with people, build those relationships. It's not all about transactions. It's really about really find out what's a person's purpose, what's their why. And ultimately, if there's a value that you can bring to somebody, then it can become a relationship, transactional relationship. But that's what I came away with. Was I couldn't believe it. Meeting Ramy, the first one there, getting in and started mingling with people. I think Diane, you were one of the first people. You were one of the first few people as well. We started seating, and Kathleen sat right next to me, and we started chatting, finding it out. And I gave you my wife's book, right? So you just one of those type of things that, and then the talking and the teaching was just phenomenal. But I'll just share the one thing that Ramy planted. What's the worst thing that can happen to you in making a decision? What's the worst thing? When he explained what he put on the line, we think way too small. We think about, if I put everything on the line, I will lose everything. I'll lose my house, I'll lose my assets, I'll lose everything. But it's just a number. If you know how to make $1, don't be afraid to lose it. You know how to make it back. We limit what that dollar amount is. He talks in billions. It's just a number. He just expanded my relationship of what risk really is. The only risk you have is not making decision and moving forward. That's what I came away with. That is our greatest risk, getting tied up in our smallness, tied up in our fears. We did a lot of talking in interaction and around fears, and that was great. And then the opportunity, Ramy did something. He brought his Vegas show in, the 27. That rocked. I tell you what, that in itself was worth any admission, because I know if you went to Vegas, probably $200 to $300 show to go see. So that in itself was a benefit. And then him taking us to the airport to see his plane. You can't comprehend what that impression is. Is that his plane is incredible. I just can't. A conference room in it, a living room in it, a bedrooms in it, a kitchen in it, decked out to like you can't believe. And he just shared that with us. Got us to think differently about possibilities and being able to make decisions and take action. I put this together. Mark and I do this platform every Monday evening, and we usually have a guest. This week we didn't have a guest. I said, let me talk a little bit about my experience at this event. And as I got going through days, is why do I need to share all this? I mean, there's 6, 7, 8 people here today that can share their story and make it that much better. So I surprised Mark today. He's a baseball umpire as well. So I threw a curveball. But Mark, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and you can throw some questions out there. But I'd like everybody to think about this for a moment. What was the one thing that you came away with that you're initiating and putting into action? Like he said, nothing happens until you put it into action. So we'll just, whoever, Mark, I'll let you take over and raise your hand, and Mark will call on you. And throw questions at us, Mark.
Here you go. You talk something near and dear, fears. Now, to get from point A to point B, you had to fly, drive, whatever. And there's fears. There's fears out there right now. That C word's still kicking around, and I won't get into something I encountered with that C thing, but some people are still harboring on that C thing. You know what I'm talking about. And with that, when you're talking about fears, false evidence appearing real, right? That's the way I look at fear. People are worried about financial. You mentioned something about Think and Grow Rich here, and Ramy challenged you to look at the possibilities. Everybody, not everybody, some people I call upon, whether they're CEOs, VP, sales and marketing, and you guys can tell me how you feel about this. There's always in the back of that person's mind, gee, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3, 4, 6 months, year out, because financially we're not where we really would like to be or want to be. And you always hear this, what's holding you back? In corporate America, you guys tell me this now, is there a different mindset out there right now in the marketplace, whether it's supply chain, automobile sales? I mean, I could go through just about every industry because I call on various industries. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to bore you with what I do day in and day out on the phone. But would someone like to, step up to the plate and share that concept? What's going on out there today? Rex, I'll pick you. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, it's better to be muted when there's a lot of people on the platform. That way, there's no. But I was trying to bring somebody onto the show. He just said he's kind of in the middle of something.
Oh, that's cool.
But I don't think he's. You'd know him as Kurt Cobain. You remember him from the event? So
yep.
I was trying to bring him on, but he said I'm kind of in the middle of something, so we'll see if he shows up or not. But I shared the link. Well, let me attack this from different directions. One is the last thing I heard was what's going on out there right now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. In other words, some people are, whether it's they're still harboring on something from 2 years ago, or now it's the supply chain thing and it's not happening. And I can pick different industries because I call upon them. And, I know you guys just came from this group, and I know you were challenged to keep an open mind and pursue things that, with that open mind. And some people will use what's currently going on in our world as what's the word? I don't want to say excuse, but it's like, hey, we can't do this because, and they let that stand in the way. So I'll let you, after you got pumped up this weekend through Ramy, you can elaborate on that and how to attack it, how to approach it.
Yeah, so I've been doing this for almost 50 years. I've been reading Napoleon Hill. I first started reading Napoleon Hill in those books when I was 6. I started reading Think and Grow Rich and Law of Success in those books on my own when I was about 11. I made a study of them. The biggest issue and Satish, who we need to mention, Satish is a prominent part of the Napoleon Hill Foundation's programs. Came up to me and said, "I'm so glad that you said what you said," because I said I didn't really apply any of it until later in my 20s. I read it, thought I understood it, thought I knew it, kept reading it, kept studying it, but it's what I said earlier about dream building. Until you actually put the Rolex on your watch, you don't really know until you actually dive in. I mean, I've done programs live and online program that you're all welcome to come and join, but that for decades now, and the reason for doing those is so that people can be immersed. They can have the experience and they can be around like-minded people, whether online because of COVID or something else. And unless you dive in, unless you actually get your feet wet, you don't know what it's like to walk in the water. So standing on the shore and looking at it and having all of the reasons and excuses why you can't do it is fine if you never want to jump in. I have for over 40 years done workshops this way, going, what is it that stops most people? And you'll hear fear and beliefs and this and the other thing. What stops most people? A thought. It's just a thought. It's a little packet of mental energy. It has no tangibility of its own. And yet that one thing, whether it's a fear or afraid or a worry or an anxiety or a plan or something else, whatever it is, will stop most people. Why? Because they routinely, habitually use that for whatever to stop them. So, I didn't want to go to the event because I was busy. I had other things. I had no interest, really. I've been around billionaires and millionaires my entire adult life, so what? Big deal. And when I was told, you are part of this team, you're part of the program, you need to be there, we want you to speak, I thought, okay, now I'll just adjust everything and I'll go. Originally, my thoughts stopped me. And fortunately, I'm pretty good at adjusting my thoughts and my thinking, so that I said, all right, well, let me make some changes here and I'll be there. The speakers were Satish, Don Green, Ramy, Moe, Adora, myself, and Willie Gault, and John Gray. I mean, that was essentially the speakers. The cool part about this event was not just the speakers who came to share what they shared, but the people who showed up, not only coming to get something, but they came giving something. And boy, you can't, if you're around a bunch of givers in a room or 2 days in an event, I mean, the way you vibrate and the way that it uplifts you, that's why you want to be there, because you don't have that experience sometimes. I hear people all the time going, I'm surrounded by all these energy vampires. Well, get your ass into an event, get yourself into a program, get yourself into something where you're around people. Because to your point now, Mark, people perpetuate whatever is going on that's old out of habit or what's current. So they use current affairs or the next new thing or the next new piece of news. There's a pending this and a pending that or this, that, and the other thing, or to justify not doing things, because that's how they've been conditioned and that's what they do. If you always perpetuate, the trite saying is, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. But what's really happening is people are perpetuating the very things that don't work for them, hoping it's going to be different. And if you want something to be different, you actually have to do something different. So that meant people had to leave their homes, the comfort of their house, get to Ramy's, and then be part of it, and then hear what the different speakers said. So what Ramy said that I think is what I like most about Ramy, and Ramy's been on my show, All Things Rex, for the Tribune, and so is Tom, and a lot of impressive guests. So if you haven't seen the show, I encourage you to do that. But Ramy was on months ago. What I most spoke to me about Ramy is, and why this event was important, is because you hear a lot about Napoleon Hill, you hear a lot about thinking rich, but here was a guy who wrote a book saying, here's how I applied that to do this. I became a millionaire at 16, a multimillionaire by 23, a billionaire by 30, lost it 3 times, and I'm back now. Here I am today. And I can tell you how I did that. And by the way, I've lost my money so many times, if I lose it again, I'll just make it back. And most people fear bankruptcy and they fear all these things, the thoughts. And yet here's somebody who's lost billions. And, if that billions, he's lost millions, who knows what he's actually, and he goes, I'll just do it again. And each and every one of us, speakers and non-speakers and whatever, got to gather for this experience and to be able to sit there and talk and see him take out the trash and understand that he puts his pants on just like everybody else. And yet he's used these principles to accomplish things that many other people won't even begin to do because they're just afraid for some reason, or they're too busy making the old their present. So I think it was a marvelous opportunity for all of us to get out of our comfort zones and into an environment where it was comfortable, where we could all vibe high, support each other, and then take it away and take it with us and talk about it today. And Tom, in your show. So this is cool.
Well, thanks, Rex, for sharing. I'm going to go to Cynthia. The reason I wanted to, she's driving, but they did an auction, and Cynthia, share what you bidded on, and the money went to the foundation. So, but what did Ramy auction off that you purchased?
I'm parking so I can tell you this because it is pretty amazing. I wish I could show you a picture. Maybe someone has a picture they can put up of it. It is the signing of the Constitution. It is amazing. It's from his private collection. I know it was near and dear to him. I know he got him for a deal. I can't wait to get a new house to feature it in. And not only that, when I went the next morning, it was behind the door. And I said, oh, it can't be behind the door. It has to be up for the day because it brings me such joy just looking at it, such inspiration for everybody. And he said, I said, would you please sign it for me? And he said, yes. And he went to flip it over. I said, oh, no, I'm keeping this for life. Will you please sign it on the front? Because it will always be with me and you'll know that I always have it. And he was like, his face just went, and he signed it to me and I will cherish it forever.
Do you remember when you were bidding, there was a little bit of bidding going back and forth?
Yeah.
Somebody bidded $1,500. And then, of course, Willie was trying to up the auction on that. Do you remember the conversation what he said? 20 years ago, he spent 5 times as much as what you had just bid. And here's what somebody that has something of value, it's not about the money. It was going to a cause, and that tells you something about that individual. Is not holding on to something. He's ready to release it for a higher cause, to fulfill some joy in your life. And it wasn't the money. How many people would have made the decision, well, heck, 20 years ago, I paid 5 times as much as the first bid. So, and you got it way under what he even paid 20 years ago, right?
That's correct. But when you're ready to let something go, you let it go and it goes to a higher good.
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome. That was an awesome experience watching that happen at that event. So that was cool. We're going to just jump. Mark, go ahead. And Dan's got his hand up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Am I okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I've learned from Ramy, and it got confirmed again and again at that meeting, I've always, I was taught that, you are what you do. You are your business. Okay. I am a doctor. I am a cab driver. I am a salesman. And that you're invested, your person is invested inside of whatever your job is, whatever you do that you make money, whatever it is like that. Ramy has a start and an end date on everything, and he's ready to move on to the next thing. Businesses are business, and they're not him. He's not personally, his value is not personally tied to what happens to that business. And that is a great lesson for me. And I think for a lot of other people who get tied up with things. I have a friend who was having a hard time calling businesses because he was tied into his thing. His business was him. And every time somebody rejected him, he didn't want to make another call because he felt it was rejecting him. What I told him is, figure out when you're going to get rid of that business, give yourself an end date and what your goal is, and you won't have that problem anymore. Because it's just another bump on the road to get you to where you want to get to. And I think Ramy just handles things like drops of water in the rain. And I think that's a great lesson for me, and it's a great lesson for all of us.
May I just jump in real quick?
Yes.
I probably won't do this again, but that is a Napoleon Hill principle. I mean, and this is why being with Ramy is so important. Napoleon Hill will say, do these things, have a burning desire, be passionate, know what you want, and then have an end date of it, a time when you want it to come about. A lot of people in law of attraction, myself included, will say, depending on what you want to do, you may or may not want to do that. We kind of give people the opportunity to let it happen whenever, but there is a reason for having an end date. Because as you get closer to the end date, one or two things happen. Either you notice that it's not happening yet and you put in extra effort or energy or whatever, and you move forward to make it happen by the deadline date, or some people give up. They go, shit, it's not happening, and they then go the other way. So it really is useful. The other thing that's cool is Ramy, because of it, is he shows that you can have multiple of these. He does one at a time. You get better later as you get larger. You can diversify. But as Hill would say, do one thing at a time, one rung of the ladder at a time. Once you master that, then go to another one, have another deadline date, have another one. And all of those work towards your purpose. It's not like it has anything to do with you. Your business is, might be completely something that is a business opportunity. It has nothing to do with what your purpose is, but it fits within the purpose of who you are and your overall goal to have that business. So that, having those lessons available to all of us. And by the way, there may be people in that room who are more successful than Ramy. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, people showed up from all around the world. And but what a beautiful lesson and what a wonderful share. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to go ahead, Jasmine.
By the way, my dog.
I was just going to add to that also.
Wondering whose dog that was. Sorry, Jasmine.
It was my dog.
Oh, I was just going to add to that the principles. What I took away was that the principles really work, and they work consistently. So if you have, like Ramy showed, if you have a business, you succeed in that business, even if you happen to find a way to accidentally lose all that money, don't worry about it. If you apply those principles again, you can build something else right back up following those principles that he showed. He did that multiple times with different businesses. And just listening to him, I found him to be quite a brilliant mind. I was just really blown away listening to all of the things that he was so knowledgeable about. I probably would have recorded it if I had known it was going to be just so packed with gems, so I could just replay it and learn more and more. You can't take it all away with one listening. You have to kind of employ that over and over again. And I just found him to be phenomenal. Great thought leaders in the room. And I think he is a brilliant mind. I hope that he will start touring and speaking about what he's gone through, because it's phenomenal. The way he's applied the principles was just magnificent.
Jasmine, can I say something? You said something was profound that he did. Is if anybody should read the book, but he told the story, him going to the SEC. They wanted to put him in jail for 150 years. When you have the conviction, you know it's the truth, and you stand up for what you stand for. He was willing to go to jail for 150 years. His belief and truth overcame, and they dropped the charges because they were false, they were made up, all those type of things. How many of us are that convicted about our purpose, our why, and truth? When I heard that story,
not only that, he was so confident.
What's that?
I was just saying he was so confident about it too that he wore their jacket.
Yeah, I'll expand on that, but I want to make sure everybody has a chance to throw their nugget in on that. Who would like to say something next? Just show your hand. Mark, you got any question? Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to say I've got a picture of the painting that Cynthia bought.
How do we do a share? I don't know how to do it.
Let me see if I can do that from this side.
I'll let you figure that out while there it is. There it is.
I mean, isn't
that magnificent? Talk about a mastermind, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we called it the ultimate mastermind.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can you send that picture to me in Facebook or something? That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping that. I'm keeping that for us.
Okay.
Of course.
How much for the donation to the Napoleon Hill Foundation?
Yeah, how much?
Everything's negotiable, right? Thanks for sharing, Jeff. That was awesome.
Of course.
There's a lot of meaning behind that picture that if you study what was going on, the founders, that was the original mastermind that gives us the freedom and the liberties. He shared that story behind the painting as well. That was incredible. Who else has a nugget they'd like to share of what they came away with from that meeting? Something that's profound to you. Go ahead, Jeff.
It was about the connection as well. I mean, when I showed up, right, walking up to the entry, the first three people that I met were Rex, Dan Altmeyer, and John Gray. And I was like, this is going to be a great couple of days. We're having a great, but it's set.
Two out of three is not bad.
It's all right, Dan. We'll let you in.
No,
it was that kind of banter, right?
It was Dan and John Gray that impressed you. That's cool.
But it started. I was talking to Rex because he was working the sign-in table when he got there, and I talked so much I missed the sign-in book. It set the tone for the weekend because we started out with conversation and connection and some banter. And then all four of us are kind of going back and forth and having some. And so it was easy. It was connective. It was learning about each other. It was fun because we're cracking jokes back, and giving each other a little bit of raspberry back and forth. And that made it I was like, okay. So I was nervous about being there. I knew there are going to be a lot of high-powered leaders in the room. And I don't know about you, but I'm painfully shy and people scare me. So to have that greeting walking up, I'm not so much that way. And it makes my wife laugh every time I say that. But that at the core, that's where I came from. That's been my journey. And it's easy for me to become I'm going to stand here, paste it against the wall, watching what's going on, making notes and learning, but not have that connection. And instead, the whole group, everybody that was there was like that. It's like, hi, how you doing? We got to know each other. We formed connections. And then towards the end of our time together was when I started hearing people talking about, hey, let's do this together. I can help you with, last night I had an idea I want to connect you with, because we had the opportunity to meet each other and start building the connection.
Yeah.
And that gave everybody the basis that made it possible before we all headed out to then start being able to go, hey, look, here's how I think I can help you. Would this be okay? Great. We'll make that happen afterwards. Let's make sure we stay in touch.
Yeah. That was a big part of the whole event. Many times we go to an event like that, and it's all about, unfortunately, the way I was brought up in sales is a secure a transaction. Whose name can I get? Who can I call? That type of thing. That has shifted, and it, like you said, it was just the environment set the stage, and it was so critical. I'm going to ask somebody else. Go ahead, Diane. What did you come away with?
Well, I have to say this. I agree with you. I came in a little bit early as well. I went through the back entrance by accident, and they said, no, you got to go to the front. And so that I went, and then I think that's when I met you, Tom. And then I walked in, and I immediately saw Ramy. And what was he doing? He was folding T-shirts. And I'm like, and putting books together. And I looked at him, I introduced myself, and he was so gracious. And then I decided, well, I'm going to help him do that. And I was able to talk to him, and I realized that his demeanor and his being so grateful. And he was just so real, authentic. He was his authentic self. I could tell that he really wanted to help people. I could tell he lived it. And I had just finished his book, like I said, when I walked in there, and I'm so glad I did that. But he just kept going the whole time and pouring out such great nuggets all the time. Anything that he talked about was things that I would never, his thought pattern of a billionaire is just different. It's just the way his thought pattern, like with the jet, how he bought the jet, right? When he talked about, he went and he studied that jet, and he just wired the owner $30 million and said, I just wired you $30 million. And if you don't want to sell me the jet, send me the 30 million back. I mean, that was like, whoa, I would have never thought to do that, right? But he just thinks differently. And I am so grateful that I found that email it ended up in my spam area or something. I'm so glad I was able to get in. So grateful to meet all of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Rex got his hand up.
I'm sorry. I don't want to, but to that point, he said many times, I find out what it is that motivates them or what it is that they want. So we've got to remember that the attention is on what can I do, or what offer can I make, or how can I appeal to them from where they're coming from, as opposed to where I'm coming from. because I might go, completely the other way, or somebody else might do it. But Ramy went, if I give this guy $30 million, he's not going to want to refund it. The likelihood is that he's not going to want to give $30 million back. So I'll give him the $30 million, and then he has a choice to make, and he decided I'll part with the jet. So it's understanding the other person. And so many of us in business or in life or with our own families don't bother to understand where our kids or our brothers and sisters or parents are coming from, or our associates or our coworkers or strangers that we're trying to appeal. And that was a very telling comment that he said more than one time. But what an example, right? The walk away with a jet or $30 million.
Yeah. Those stories are absolutely amazing. I'm going to go to Ava. Ava, you were there from sunup to sundown. I saw you cleaning the kitchen and, all those type of things. So you saw things differently from a different perspective, besides what you took away from the event. What'd you come away with from Ramy, anybody there? What was the number one thing that you came away with?
Well, I feel like I was privileged to be in the house, in Ramy's house, before people came and after people left. And I really had a close chance to look at the picture frames in the walls. And looking closely at the picture frames, he's got his bounce checks framed up, insufficient funds. He's got his lawsuits framed up. And so I actually went to him and I asked him, I'm like, what's the thinking behind putting in frame something that we normally would be so embarrassed to even tell people we bounced the check? Just very recently, I had a check bounce because some confusion in the accounting. I was so embarrassed. I was in the bank saying I would do anything for you to reverse it, just because I miscalculated. And I was going to drive 2.5 hours to just pay it in cash. I was so embarrassed. And to just look at, and the checks are not small amounts. They're like bounce checks of, 800,000 and insufficient funds, insufficient funds of 1.2 million, So I asked him, what's the thinking behind putting that in a frame? And he said, they're markers. They're markers in my journey. And he said that because I know in the future I will be sharing about them so that people wouldn't be so afraid of them. And that was life-changing for me, because what I saw was that he knew his future. He had his mindset that he was going to encourage people, that he was going to live a life of inspiration, and everything along the way are nothing but encouragement to others, And so, tying that to what I heard him say during the training, when he said that when he became homeless and got to billionaire twice, because he became homeless again, and became billionaire twice, he said, now I think I can write the book. And it's always that certainty of his destination, so much so that when he autographed his book for me, this is the genuineness of this situation. He had his feet up in the patio overlooking Hollywood Hills. I was already done with cleaning the house. I was about to leave, and I asked for an autograph. And here's what he wrote. He said, "You were such a big part of a special reward. Thank you." And to him, that whole event was a reward. It's almost like everything that he had, labored through, he endured through, is now a reward for him because he gets to share it with us. And it was just so, I feel so emotional to a point that, one of the things that he always says is procrastination is something, indecision and procrastination steals away from people more than the risks that they take. It steals so much from us in terms of finances because of indecision, because of procrastination, because of fear, versus just doing it and making mistakes and being okay with it and then doing it over again, not trusting ourselves. And my takeaway and what I'm going to do from now is really listen to my intuition and take action, and no longer be in fear for what could be, and what ifs, and just like really doesn't matter what you learn through the process, it's all part of the markers.
Well, thanks for sharing. I looked at those things and I was curious, but I never had an opportunity to ask the question. That is beautiful, that story, knowing what his markers were. Many times we look at our failures, our shortcomings, and we go to shame and guilt and all those things. I think what he's saying is know who you are and know where you're going. Yes, we make mistakes. Yes, we have shortcomings. But don't let those things hold you back. That's amazing. How many of us, like you said, I've written a bad check or two in my life, not by design, but by my inattention to something. But it is embarrassing. And how many times we let those things get in our way of moving forward? Oh, gee, if they knew I bounced a check, what would they really think about me? And we hold that thought in all things that we do. So thanks for sharing. That was great insight there.
You're welcome.
I want to go back to the book here real quick. I've been studying Think and Grow Rich for years, not the way that Ramy has probably, but I've studied pretty in depth. I loved what he did in the beginning. He took the last parts of Think and Grow Rich, put them in the first part in his book, the alibis and excuses, the what ifs. And I think if we go through 101 what ifs, I think that in itself, if we just eliminate our what ifs in our lives, we can live a more abundant, more prosperous, more meaningful life and not die with regrets. I know Ramy's not going to die with regrets. He has some big goals, not just in business, but he has a mission to eliminate hunger. That is a major problem. So he's got more than just business goals and objectives, and it's in his heart. And you know what? I believe he's going to have a pretty big impact in that area in a very significant way. But he knows he has to get those deals in place so that he can do that unobstructed. And so if you haven't got the book, I'm sure everybody here that's got it, Mark, I encourage you to get it as well. But anything else, any one takeaway that anybody would like to expound on? We've been here, I tell you what, an hour goes in a hurry. Mark, do you have any questions?
No, I'm just taking it all in. Sounds like you guys had a great time. I mean, I was out and about on vacation, and I was affected by that C word. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm great. So.
Dan had his hand up. Go ahead, Dan.
So another thing that really impressed me there was the Willie Gault story.
Willie Gault. Oh, yes.
Willie Gault.
Dan, go ahead and share that story because it's an amazing. What is a friendship? How many people can we say in our lives have this type of relationships, this type of friendship? Dan, go ahead and share that story because it is unbelievable.
Willie Gault, for those of you who don't know, won 3 Olympic gold medals, 2 in running and 1 in bobsledding, won a Super Bowl ring with the Chicago Bears, had a great a great career in the NFL. And he met Ramy and came up to him and asked him, hey, I'd like to learn about business. And Ramy said, here's a book. Go make copies of it. And when you come back, you can keep the copy. And we'll go over them. And that was the start of their relationship. Ramy said that for about the first 2 or 3 years, he was always wondering why people were coming up to Willie and shaking his hand and asking him for his autograph, because he didn't know who Willie Gault was as an athlete. He didn't follow sport. And Willie was there as a simple guy who wanted to learn. He was not the egotist, 3 gold medal. I'm the guy with 3 gold medals. I'm the guy that won the Super Bowl ring. And he came there as a servant to learn under the master, and became one of the closest friends to Ramy in his life, and was actually there in the hospital when Ramy almost died.
Yeah, Dan. I think that's an important factor, because how he shared that story, and if you don't mind me chiming in here,
no, go pick it up.
Ramy went through a hard time, and with the challenge he had fighting the government and he got, on medications and became addicted and all that type of stuff. And he flatlined. He died, physically died, and he was in a hospital. I don't know how long it was off the top of my head. But Willie Gault, of all the people that Ramy knew, he never missed a day to visit Ramy in the hospital. Of all the people he knew. And that tells you something about Willie Gault. Number 2, it tells you what impact that Ramy had on somebody else's life, that they were loyal, they cared, they were concerned. And that story in itself, you can't put a value on it, because it was that deep. And we can look in our own life. How many people, other than maybe your significant, would be there every day? Think about that. And we only have, that's what we're here to do in life, is serve, make a difference in people's lives. And then you get people that are committed to support you, not just in doing work for you or making you money, but really where the rubber meets the road in life is that you're there because you care and you love people. That was an amazing story. It brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it. So if those that didn't hear it, that was amazing. Thanks, Dan, for sharing that. Anything else, Cynthia?
Oh, I think I'll share my inscription on my book, which is funny because I had the book at home because I had ordered it right when he was on Ken Wallace's program. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I went home and my book wasn't signed, but I have a book that's signed to Cynthia for all the love and positive energy you put out. You deserve everything you want in life.
Wow.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
That's it. I'm Cynthia Mannion, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. You're awesome, lady. You're awesome. Anything else, anybody? I just appreciate everybody here. Rex has got his 2 girls probably that need attention. He's got 2 beautiful dogs. So that's probably where he's taking care of that. So anything else? Anybody else? Mark? You're muted, my friend.
That's a good thing. I'm supposed to be. It's Monday night, and I need to venture onward in Vamanos because it's dance night. And the general's calling. My frame is being requisitioned to the dance floor. So I am going to have to leave all you Think and Grow Rich. By the way, I always like to hold this up. This is an embarrassment. You talk about the original book. I got this back in the day for $2.95. I'm embarrassed to show you this, but I still have it and I still read it. And yeah, so now I need to get this guy's book and see what he's all about, to take what's in here. And I'm going to give a shout out to the man, Benjamin Franklin Gay III. He's the last disciple thereof of Napoleon. So that's kind of a cool thing. And now you got Ramy, who took it and has kicked it into the nth degree. So I'm real curious to read his book.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
And if I can throw in a random fact.
A little shot to do tonight, so you got to keep the home front going. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, Gene will kill me. All you ladies out there, we take dance lessons. So we're a member of an organization, and it was kind of a real unique way to meet different people. And so, it's been different meeting all sorts of folks, just like yourselves, from different walks of life and, businesses, retired. It's just been interesting, it's been a lot of fun. So, and we're by no means one of the oldest, but there are some folks out there that they're not spring chickens. But I think it's cool that people are engaging with one another, their significant others or spouses, or and they're out there doing that. I think it's kind of neat because I think dance is a very unique way to communicate. I'm not the best, but I'm getting better at it, I guess. I mean, I keep coming back, so they don't kick me out. I pay the dues, so it's like they look at me and probably go, "Oh God, this guy, he's back." But it's kind of neat to challenge yourself with something new. So I'll keep this in mind when I'm out there stumbling around. But I just want to say thank you for sharing. Sorry I missed it, but seriously, one was vacation, and two, I really did have that C thing, which to me wasn't a big deal. I could share something on that later on about the people I was dealing with the C thing, which I think is hilarious. But you just rock and roll and deal with it and move on, right? Because you're going to get it. I mean, I'm convinced we're all going to get a little bit of it somehow, some way, if you haven't already. But hopefully you don't. I really, but I think your immune system has a lot to do with it, how well you take care of yourself. And I think mentally that helps too, what we're all talking about. How we approach our day. So it's great being around like-minded people. I wish you were all customers I could call on because, you got that like-mindedness rocking and rolling. So Rex, thank you for reinstituting my skull, conditioning my mind, body, and, with what you said about, with what's out there in the real world and how you deal with it. But,
well, Hill and others have said thoughts are things, and what you focus on, you get.
Sure.
And if you focused on stuff that's less than glorious, then you get less than glorious stuff. So focus on the glorious stuff. And Neville, and as all thought leaders have said, live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And what Ava talked about him knowing his future, he's living the future now. He's creating it in this moment. So it's important for all of us, no matter what struggle or what illness or what hardship or whatever we have, to reframe it. I think is a really important thing. Stop calling it a problem or a challenge or a hardship or a difficulty or energy vampires that suck, because that's just putting energy into it. So, it's an opportunity to, Jose Silva called it a project. He said, I have a project I'm working on, because it takes the connotation out of it. But challenges at one time were things, people like to climb mountains, so that's a challenge. But now it's synonymous with I've got a problem, I've got a challenge, I've got a hardship in my life.
Right.
So but having said all of that, the opportunity to come together and to imbibe the energy and the enthusiasm and the uplifting. And for 2 days, we really didn't pay attention to the news. We didn't pay attention to things.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We were busy with each other, and that's a good way to live. I'm not saying be ignorant.
Yeah.
There are some people who are, consumers of bad news and miserable of company, and that's all they talk about.
Right.
And it preoccupies us. And I want to end with this. My comment, not the show, but that mastermind of the people, and I've talked about this a lot, but the mastermind of the people in the Declaration of Independence came together because they were united, trying to build something better as a reaction to the tyranny that they experienced in over on the other side of the pond. So they were flawed. They weren't that cool. I mean, many of them had a lot of major personality problems and everything else. But what they could agree on is what they wanted to build for themselves. I mean, it's been extended to everybody else, but originally it wasn't.
Right.
We the people, not everybody the people. But the point is that they were united. They knew what they wanted, and they worked to it, even at the point of risking death. And they let nothing stop them. And they created this document, and they united the colonies, and then we united the states, and we've lived for almost 200 years, up until fairly recently, where we, in the last 4 to 5 decades, even they said, beware of the rise of people who will try and subvert this. But now more people are arguing, they're not united, they're divided. They're saying that's wrong, this is wrong. it's party over people or politics. So whatever side of the aisle you're on, I don't care. The point is, until we unite, until we come together with that same kind of creative energy that you experienced in that weekend, is little will get done. You're not going to create that battling and arguing and finding out what's wrong. You're going to create it by finding out what's right and what's good and experiencing it for yourself. So thank you for the opportunity to share this, because it was truly a life-changing event, I think, for all of us. And it hasn't ended.
No, it hasn't.
I mean, it's still going on. It's going on right now, but it hasn't ended. It's still, the ripples are still going. So
thanks,
right.
Rex.
And with that note, I hear birds in the background, and that's my calling card to move onward, guys. But I'll let. Thank you.
Mark, you can jump off, but I want to make one announcement for Friday at 1 p.m. G-Force. I'm interviewing the great and one and only Glenn Bill, the ABCs of Attitude. So if you can come back to my channel 1 o'clock on Friday, another great individual. So tag and turn on your notifications. So that's my spiel for tonight. God bless everybody. I'm so grateful everybody showed up tonight. Thank you for your sharing. This tag and share your friends with this. There's nuggets here that each person could pick up on. And everybody have a great evening. And God bless.
Thank you, guys. Nice to see you all.
Live on your terms, Rex Sikes.
Thank you. Have a great one, guys.
Live life on your terms.
Thank you.
Live on your terms. Yes, indeed.
Bye-bye.